You know what separates the people who make it from the people who don't? It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not who you know or where you were born. It's one word: discipline. And I'm going to tell you something right now that might make you uncomfortable. Most people don't have it. Most people wake up and let the day happen to them. They react instead of create. They wish instead of work. And then they wonder why their life looks the way it does. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you did something you didn't feel like doing, but you knew you should? When was the last time you pushed past that voice in your head that said maybe tomorrow, or just this once won't hurt? Because that's where your future lives, right there in that gap between what you feel like doing and what you know you should do. That gap is called discipline, and it's the bridge between dreams and reality. I remember talking to a young man once. He said to me, "Mr. Rohn, I want to be successful." And I said, "That's wonderful. What are you willing to do?" He looked at me confused. He thought wanting it was enough. He thought the desire itself would somehow magically transform his life. But here's the truth. The world doesn't care what you want. The world responds to what you do, and what you do consistently day after day, whether you feel like it or not, that's discipline. You see, most people have it backwards. They think they'll do something when they feel motivated. They're waiting for inspiration to strike. They're waiting to feel ready. But successful people know the secret. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. You don't wait until you feel like going to the gym. You go to the gym and then you feel motivated. You don't wait until you feel like studying. You open the book and then the interest comes. Discipline is doing it anyway. Let me tell you about discipline this way. Think of it as the price tag on everything you want. You want health? The price is discipline in your eating and exercise. You want wealth? The price is discipline in your work and your saving and your investing. You want great relationships? The price is discipline in your communication, your presence, your growth as a person. Everything has a price, and that price is always paid in discipline. Now here's the interesting part. You're going to pay a price either way. You can pay the price of discipline or you can pay the price of regret. And let me tell you, regret weighs tons. Discipline weighs ounces. The pain of discipline is temporary and it leads to pride. The pain of regret is permanent, and it leads to disappointment. So which price are you willing to pay? I've watched people for decades now. I've seen people with enormous talent waste it because they lacked discipline, and I've seen people with modest talent achieve extraordinary things because they had the discipline to show up every single day and do the work. Talent is common, discipline is rare, and discipline will beat talent when talent doesn't have discipline. You know what most people do? They start strong. They get excited about a goal. They make plans. They tell everyone what they're going to do. And for the first few days, maybe even the first few weeks, they're on fire. They're waking up early. They're doing the work. They're making progress. And then something happens. Life gets in the way. They have a bad day. They don't see results as fast as they hoped. And slowly, quietly, they quit. Not all at once. Nobody ever does. They just miss one day, then another, then it becomes a pattern, and before they know it, they're right back where they started, telling themselves the same stories about why it didn't work out. But the disciplined person, they have bad days too. They get tired too. They face obstacles too. The difference is they keep going anyway. They understand that discipline isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about doing the thing even when, especially when, you don't feel like it. Let me give you a formula that changed my life. It's simple, but it's not easy. Here it is. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. That's it. Not a lot of complicated strategies. Not secrets that only the elite know. Just a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Read for 30 minutes. Exercise for 30 minutes. Work on your craft with focus for 3 hours. Save 10% of your income. Be kind to the people around you. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. Now here's the flip side of that formula. A few errors in judgment repeated every day. That's disaster. Eating more than you should, just a little bit, every day. Spending more than you make, just a little bit, every day. Neglecting to read and grow, just a little bit, every day. These aren't dramatic mistakes. They're small. They seem insignificant in the moment. But repeated over time, they create a life you don't want. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day, and failure is nothing more than a few errors in judgment repeated every day. It's that simple. Not easy, but simple. The difference between success and failure isn't dramatic. It's not huge, massive actions versus total laziness. It's the small choices you make every single day. Think about it this way. If you read 10 pages of a good book every day, that's 3,650 pages a year. That's 10 to 15 books, depending on how long they are. Can you imagine where you'll be in 5 years if you read 50 to 75 books on your craft, on personal development, on philosophy, on business? Compare that to the person who says, I don't have time to read, and watches television for 2 hours every night instead. Same 24 hours, different choices, different disciplines, different results. I want you to understand something fundamental about discipline. It's not punishment. That's where most people get confused. They think discipline means depriving yourself, being hard on yourself, living a life of restriction and no fun. That's not discipline. That's just being miserable. True discipline is freedom. When you have the discipline to take care of your body, you have the freedom to do the things you want to do without pain or limitation. When you have the discipline to manage your money, you have the freedom to make choices without stress and anxiety. When you have the discipline to develop your skills, you have the freedom to create opportunities for yourself. Undisciplined people think they're free because they do whatever they feel like doing, but they're actually enslaved to their circumstances, their impulses, their fears, their excuses. The disciplined person is the free person because they've mastered themselves. And when you master yourself, you can master your environment. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I met a man who was incredibly successful. He had built multiple businesses, was in great shape, had wonderful relationships, and seemed to have it all figured out. I asked him his secret, and you know what he told me? He said, Jim, I do the hard things first. That's it. That was his philosophy. Every day, he identified the most important, usually most difficult task, and he did it first thing. Before email, before phone calls, before anything else could crowd in, he disciplined himself to eat that frog, as they say, first thing every morning. Most people do the opposite. They do the easy things first. They check email, they scroll through social media, they have another cup of coffee, they chat with colleagues, they organize their desk, they do anything and everything except the hard, important work. And by the time they finally get around to it, if they get around to it at all, they're tired. They've used up their willpower on trivial things, they've lost their focus. And the important work either doesn't get done or doesn't get done well. Discipline is about prioritization. It's about knowing what matters and doing that first. Not eventually, not when you feel like it, first, before anything else has a chance to steal your time and energy. Now, I want to talk about something that might sting a little bit. Most people don't lack discipline in every area of their life. They're very disciplined about certain things. They never miss their favorite television show. They're very consistent about checking their phone. They're remarkably disciplined about their recreational activities. The problem isn't that they don't have discipline. The problem is they're disciplined about the wrong things. They've given their discipline to things that don't matter and wonder why the things that do matter aren't working out. Where is your discipline going? Are you disciplined about your growth or disciplined about your comfort? Are you disciplined about your goals or disciplined about your distractions? Because you have discipline. Everyone does. The question is, what are you using it for? Here's another truth about discipline that most people miss. Discipline is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. When you first start exercising discipline in any area, it's hard. It takes effort. You have to think about it. You have to force yourself. But over time, with consistency, it becomes easier. It becomes a habit. It becomes who you are. That's why I always tell people to start small, but start now. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. That's not discipline. That's enthusiasm. And enthusiasm fades. Pick one area. Pick one simple discipline and do it every single day for 30 days. Miss 0 days. Not one. Not, I'll make it up tomorrow. 0 missed days for 30 days. And watch what happens. You'll build confidence. You'll build momentum. And most importantly, you'll build the muscle of discipline itself. Once you've done it in one area, you can expand to another, then another. Before you know it, you've transformed your life not through some dramatic moment, but through the compound effect of small disciplines practiced daily. Let me tell you what happens when you don't have discipline. You become a victim. Now, I know that's a strong word, but it's true. When you don't have discipline, you're at the mercy of your circumstances. Bad weather, can't exercise, busy day, can't read, friend invites you out, can't save money. Every external factor becomes an excuse for why you can't do what you know you should do. You're not in control of your life is in control of you. But the disciplined person, they're not victims. They're not tossed around by circumstances. They decide what happens. Rain or shine, they do their workout. Busy or not, they spend time on their priorities. Temptation or not, they stick to their plan. They're not perfect, nobody is, but they're consistent. And consistency over time is what creates results. I want you to think about your life 5 years from now, not what you hope it will be, what it will actually be if you keep doing exactly what you're doing now. If you keep the same disciplines or lack of disciplines, if you keep making the same choices day after day, where will you be? And be honest with yourself. Because the trajectory you're on right now is taking you somewhere. The question is it taking you where you want to go? If the answer is no, then something has to change. And that something is your daily disciplines. You can't keep doing what you're doing and expect different results. That's not how life works. Life is cause and effect. Sowing and reaping. You plant corn, you get corn. You plant wheat, you get wheat. You plant nothing, you get nothing. And you can't plant in the fall and expect to harvest in the spring. There's a season for everything, and discipline is what carries you through all the seasons. Success is not an event. It's not something that happens to you one day. Success is the natural result of doing the right things over a long enough period of time, and discipline is what allows you to do those right things long enough to see the results. Let me tell you about the gap. There's always a gap between when you start doing something and when you see results. You start eating healthy today, you don't lose weight today. You start reading books today, you don't become wise today. You start saving money today, you don't become wealthy today. There's a gap, and in that gap, most people quit. They're doing the work, but not seeing the results, and they lose faith. They think it's not working. They think they're wasting their time. But the disciplined person understands the gap. They know that results are lagging indicators. They know that if they plant in the spring, they'll harvest in the fall, not tomorrow. So they keep going. They trust the process. They have faith not in some magical outcome, but in the simple principle that consistent action over time produces results. Always has, always will. You know what's interesting? The people who say, I tried that and it didn't work, almost never tried it long enough. They dabbled, they experimented, they gave it a half-hearted effort for a little while and then quit. And now they walk around saying it doesn't work. But it does work. It works every time. If you actually do it, if you actually commit to the discipline long enough to get through the gap. I've been teaching these principles for decades now, and I can't tell you how many people I've met who say, I heard you speak 20 years ago, and what you said changed my life. And I'll ask them, what did you do? And they'll tell me about some simple discipline they started. They started reading every day. They started exercising every morning. They started saving a percentage of their income. They started working on their skills consistently. And 20 years later, they're in a completely different place than they would have been. Not because of some dramatic moment, not because of luck or a big break, because of discipline. Here's something else about discipline that you need to understand. It protects you. When you have discipline, you have a structure. You have a plan. You have something to fall back on when emotions are high, when you're stressed, when life gets chaotic. The disciplined person doesn't fall apart when things get hard because they have a foundation. They have habits and routines that keep them stable. Undisciplined people are fragile. When things are going well, they might do okay. But the moment adversity hits, they crumble. They don't have anything holding them together. They're entirely dependent on external circumstances for their well-being. But the disciplined person has an internal structure that carries them through anything. Think about athletes. Why do they practice the same moves over and over and over? Why do they drill the fundamentals endlessly? Because in the heat of competition, when the pressure is on, when everything is moving fast, they don't have time to think. They fall back on their training. Their discipline in practice protects them in performance. Your life is the same way. When crisis comes, and it will come, you'll fall back on your disciplines. If you've disciplined yourself to stay calm, you'll stay calm. If you've disciplined yourself to think clearly, you'll think clearly. If you've disciplined yourself to take action, you'll take action. But if you haven't built those disciplines, you'll panic. You'll freeze. You'll make poor decisions. Discipline isn't just about achieving your goals. It's about surviving and thriving through whatever life throws at you. Now let me address something. Some of you are thinking, this all sounds great, but I've tried to be disciplined before and I failed. I don't think I have what it takes. And I'm going to tell you something. You're right and you're wrong. You're right that you failed, but you're wrong about why. You didn't fail because you lack what it takes. You failed because you were trying to rely on willpower alone. Willpower is a limited resource. It runs out. That's why you can be so disciplined in the morning and so weak in the evening. That's why you can resist temptation all day and then cave at night. Your willpower gets depleted. But discipline isn't about willpower. It's about systems. It's about environment. It's about removing the need for willpower in the first place. Let me give you an example. If you want to eat healthy, Don't keep junk food in your house. Don't rely on willpower to resist it when you're tired and hungry and it's right there in the pantry. Just don't have it in the house. That's a system. If you want to exercise in the morning, put your workout clothes out the night before. Set multiple alarms. Tell someone you'll meet them at the gym. Remove every obstacle that would require willpower to overcome. That's a system. Disciplined people aren't superhumans with infinite willpower. They're smart. They design their life in a way that makes discipline easier. They build systems and structures that support their goals. They don't fight battles they don't have to fight. Another key to discipline is understanding your why. Why do you want what you want? And I mean really why, not surface level. Dig deep, because when the going gets tough, and it will get tough, you need a reason that's bigger than the temporary discomfort. You need a why that pulls you forward, even when everything in you wants to quit. If you want to lose weight because you think you should, that's not strong enough. But if you want to lose weight because you want to be healthy enough to play with your grandchildren, because you want to set an example for your kids, because you want to live a long, active life without pain and medication, that's a why with power. That why will get you through the hard days. If you want to build a business because you want to make money, that's not strong enough. But if you want to build a business because you want to create something meaningful, because you want to provide for your family in a way your parents couldn't provide for you, because you want to make a contribution to the world, that's a why with power. Discipline without purpose is just punishment, but discipline with purpose is the path to everything you've ever wanted. So clarify your why. Write it down. Look at it every day. Let it fuel your discipline. Let me talk about something practical now. How do you actually build discipline? First, you start where you are. Not where you wish you were, not where you think you should be, where you actually are right now. Be honest about it. If you haven't exercised in 5 years, don't commit to working out 2 hours a day. That's not discipline, that's fantasy. Start with 10 minutes. Start with a walk around the block. Start where you are and build from there. Second, focus on one thing at a time. Don't try to become disciplined in every area of your life simultaneously. That's overwhelming and it doesn't work. Pick the one area that matters most right now. Maybe it's your health, maybe it's your finances, maybe it's your skill development. Pick one and pour your discipline into that until it becomes automatic. Then add the next thing. Third, track it. Write it down. Put a big X on the calendar for every day you do the thing. The visual reminder is powerful. You'll start to see a chain of X's and you won't want to break the chain. It's simple, but it works. Fourth, get accountability. Tell someone what you're doing. Ask them to check in with you. Join a group of people working on the same thing. Hire a coach. Do whatever it takes to create external accountability, because internal motivation won't always be enough. Fifth, expect to fail. You will have days where you don't do the thing. You will have moments of weakness. That's human. The difference between disciplined people and undisciplined people isn't that disciplined people never fail. It's that when they fail, they get back on track immediately. They don't let one bad day become two. They don't let one mistake spiral into a week of mistakes. They fail, they acknowledge it, and they immediately return to their discipline. Let me tell you something about the compound effect of discipline. It's not linear, it's exponential. What I mean is, the benefits of discipline don't just add up, they multiply. When you're disciplined with your health, you have more energy. That energy helps you be more productive at work. That productivity helps you earn more money. That money gives you more options. Those options reduce your stress. That reduced stress improves your relationships. And those improved relationships make you happier, which makes you want to take better care of yourself. It all compounds. And the same is true in the negative. When you lack discipline in one area, it bleeds into others. You're undisciplined with your diet. You feel sluggish. You're less productive. You earn less. You stress more. You take it out on your family. Your relationships suffer. You feel worse about yourself. And you comfort yourself with more bad food. The downward spiral compounds too. This is why discipline is so crucial. It's not just about one area of your life. It's about everything. Your whole life either compounds in the direction of success or the direction of failure based on your daily disciplines or lack thereof. I want to talk about time for a minute. Everyone has the same 24 hours. The CEO and the homeless person. The fit person and the overweight person. The wealthy person and the broke person. Same 24 hours. So why such different results? Discipline. Disciplined people understand that how you spend your time is how you spend your life, and they're ruthless about protecting their time for the things that matter. Undisciplined people waste time, and they don't even realize they're doing it. They scroll mindlessly. They watch TV without really enjoying it. They have conversations that go nowhere. They attend meetings that accomplish nothing. They're busy but not productive. They're active but not effective. And at the end of the day, the week, the year, the life, they wonder where all the time went. Disciplined people guard their time like the precious resource it is. They say no to things that don't align with their goals. They batch similar tasks together. They eliminate distractions. They focus intensely for blocks of time rather than being scattered all day. They understand that time is the one resource you can never get back, and they treat it accordingly. Here's a challenge for you. Track your time for 1 week. Every single thing you do, write it down. How much time on social media? How much time watching TV? How much time in meaningless activities? And then ask yourself, is this how I want to spend my life? Because how you spend your days is how you spend your life, and if you're not happy with your life, look at your days. Let me tell you about the power of momentum. When you're disciplined consistently, you build momentum. And momentum is a beautiful thing. When you have momentum, things that were hard become easier. Things that took willpower become automatic. You start to see results, and those results motivate you to keep going. You develop an identity as a disciplined person, and that identity makes discipline natural. But here's the thing about momentum. It's hard to start and easy to lose. That's why the beginning is always the hardest. That's why you can't miss days early on, because you're trying to build momentum, and every missed day makes it that much harder. But once you have momentum, if you keep it going, life gets so much easier. Think about a train. Getting a train moving from a standstill takes enormous energy. But once it's moving, it can plow through just about anything. That's momentum. That's what consistent discipline creates in your life. I want to address one more thing. Some people think discipline means you can never enjoy life, you can never relax, you can never have fun. That's nonsense. Discipline creates the space for enjoyment. When you're disciplined with your work, you can fully relax when you're not working without guilt or worry. When you're disciplined with your health, you can enjoy treats without spiraling. When you're disciplined with your money, you can spend on things you enjoy without anxiety. Discipline isn't the enemy of joy, it's the foundation of it, because true joy comes from living in alignment with your values, from making progress toward your goals, from knowing you're becoming the person you want to be. And none of that happens without discipline. Undisciplined people think they're having fun, but they're actually just distracting themselves from the pain of an unfulfilled life. They're numbing themselves, they're escaping, and maybe that feels good in the moment, but it doesn't lead to lasting happiness. Disciplined people have real joy because they're living with purpose. They're growing, they're achieving, they're becoming. And that creates a deep satisfaction that no amount of temporary pleasure can match. So as we come to the end here, I want to leave you with this. Your life is the sum of your daily disciplines or your daily errors in judgment. You're either making deposits or withdrawals. You're either moving toward what you want or away from it. There's no standing still. Every single day, with every single choice, you're creating your future. And the beautiful thing is, you get to choose right now, today. You can decide to be disciplined. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment. You don't have to wait until you feel ready. You don't have to wait until circumstances are ideal. You can start right now, right where you are, with what you have. Decide what matters most to you. Decide what your one priority is for the next 30 days, and commit to a simple daily discipline in that area. Just one. Make it small enough that you know you can do it. Make it clear enough that there's no ambiguity about whether you did it or not. And then do it every single day for 30 days. Watch what happens. Watch how you feel about yourself. Watch how your confidence grows. Watch how that one small discipline starts to impact other areas of your life. Watch how momentum builds. And then if you want to transform your life, add another discipline and another. And before you know it, you're a completely different person living a completely different life. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is practical, proven, powerful truth. Discipline works. It worked for me. It's worked for millions of people. And it will work for you if you commit to it. So the question is not whether discipline works. The question is, will you do it? Will you pay the price? Will you choose the pain of discipline over the pain of regret? Because I promise you, one way or another, you're going to pay a price. The only question is which one. My hope for you is that you choose discipline, that you decide today to take control of your life, that you stop making excuses and start making progress, that you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the creator of your future. You have everything you need. You have the time. You have the ability. You have the opportunity. All you need now is the discipline to do something with it. So go. Start today. Start right now. Pick your discipline. Do the thing and keep doing it day after day after day through the excitement and the boredom. through the good days and the bad days, through the times when you feel like it, and especially through the times when you don't. Because that's what discipline is. That's what separates the people who make it from the people who don't. And I believe you can make it. I believe you have what it takes. Now you just have to believe it too, and prove it to yourself through your actions. Your future is waiting, and it's built one disciplined day at a time.